Back to the Overrated Experience Sports and Sports Betting Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Blondin. It is another week of betting action. We're kicking off the weekend. A lot going on, to say the least. We have World Series time. Our hometown Toronto Blue Jays won game one last night, crushing Shohei and the Los Angeles Dodgers 11-4. Let's just say folks around Toronto, the T-Dot, are pretty happy about that. And hopefully game two turns out the same way. Addison Barger with the big crushing blow, the grand slam. And we'll touch base about that, my experience watching that game in a bit. We'll also look back and look forward to the biggest news in sports gambling, and that is the FBI takedown of some notable names in the NBA involved in poker and sports gambling shenanigans. I like that word, shenanigans. I'll give you my 2 cents on it. It's quite the shocking, but not shocking kind of event that occurred this week, which is demanded the headlines. Now, we're also here to focus on the NFL Week 8 action, betting action. So we're going to go through every game, give you our picks against the spread, at least 5 player props, but especially over-unders too. That's why we're called the Overrated Experience, because we like the overs, baby. We love the overs. And if you haven't joined us before, this is kind of in between a sharp and a square kind of gambling podcast where, yes, analytics is done to a certain degree to try to give you some great selections every Sunday or whatever day or event or sporting event we're talking about, but mostly NFL at this time. And also, as me and the rest of the crew, which is me, for this podcast, get caught up just like you do when it comes to over-unders. You want to chase the points, you want some action. I'm susceptible to that kryptonite, and which may hurt my return on investment. That's just the way it is and the way it's going to be. So you're like me, then this is the podcast for you. You can follow the Overrated Experience Sports and Sports Betting Podcast at Overrated EXPER2 on X. That's Overrated EXPER2 on X. You'll notice us as the official website of the our Twitter account or X account of the podcast. You'll have your blue check mark and the logo of the podcast, which you normally see in my background. So what are we going to do here? We're going to kick it off as I sit here in the bullpen on a Saturday morning watching Ole Miss and Oklahoma battle it out 10-3. Ole Miss, I need the 52.5 over. Let's go. Let's get some points. I was about to put some money down on an NHL game, Flyers, Islanders, but decided I don't like that 6.5, and I sure as hell don't want to bet it under. So left that alone for now. I had some soccer action earlier this morning, kind of split even money like it didn't happen. Sure you know the experience. And last week, I'll tell you, the NFL is up and down. Like it's nuts. And sometimes it's totally out of your control. Like last week, I had a same game parlay. Not necessarily the best way to bet using same game parlays. But I do, just like you do. Had a boost on it. Sucker, I am. Had the Cowboys Commanders over, I can't remember, 44.5, whatever it is. That went over no problem. That was almost over by half. I had, I think, Dak Prescott, 225 passing yards. No problem. Went over, no problem there at all. Had George Pickens over 40 yards. Bam, first half. Had it. The only thing I needed was rush pass for Jaden Daniels to hit 200 as I sip my coffee. Now, what do you think happened there? Well, I got fucked. Okay, let's just call it what it is. So, Jaden Daniels is sitting at 191 total yards, rushing and passing. He steps up in the pocket. He reaches for his hamstring, and he's out. 9 yards away, early third quarter. Here comes Marcus Mariota. There goes Jaden Daniels to the blue tent. There goes Jaden Daniels to the back of the locker room. Here comes the status update that he's out, and he's not going to play this week. But that's the challenge of props. That's the challenge of betting, where it's not that Jaden Daniels had a bad game. It is his physical health got in the way of me being paid out, which was a surety there. So that was a tough one to swallow. Didn't like that at all. But that's the way gambling goes. And then on the other hand, got paid out. I had a parlay where I took the Eagles, and this was one of my bigger bets. It was kind of 2 bets involving the Denver Broncos. and I needed the Denver Broncos just to win, not even cover the 2.5 or whatever the spread was at the time. I think it was 7.5. Sorry, the game, but I brought it down in a teaser somewhere else, which I didn't cover. But my two big bets, I needed the Broncos to win this game. And you're watching 3 quarters go by, and writing this game off and not understanding how Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo can totally terrorize what we consider one of the top defenses in the NFL at home. At home. So then here comes the fourth quarter, and the Broncos score 33 points. You can't predict. How do you see that coming? How do they turn on the offense to score within 15 minutes and get enough touches? And Jackson Dart looking great, and then he throws a pick, and they score 33 points. They take the lead. The Giants come back down, march down the field, take the lead. And then, under a minute to go, Broncos get into field goal territory, hit the field goal, 33 points. So I got fucked on one side, and I got the betting gods look down on me on another. So I just want to share that story. I know you want to hear. And last week, just to give you kind of where we're at, we didn't do too well against the spreads. We were 6 for 14, under 500 there. So got to shake my head and do better this week. Over-unders, though. I think we got this pretty good. We were 9 for 14. Really felt good about that. And then for props, 4 for 6, baby. 4 for 6, right? I want you to listen to me on my week 8 picks against the spread, but really get the pen going. Get the pencil sharpened. Don't worry about that eraser, because you ain't going to erase what I'm going to tell you. So just, again, here we go on this on week 8, and it's going to come up shortly. And of course, this is just what I'm doing. You can do whatever you want, and it's responsible gaming. So please be careful. But speaking of not responsible gaming, so last week, I'm going to say 2 days ago, let's say 2 days ago, the story breaks that the FBI has made multiple arrests in 2 gambling operations. So one involves an illegal poker operation where the mafia, I think that's the La Cosa Nostra, was mentioned in the FBI investigation. And it is alleged that the Cosa Nostra had used and paid Chauncey Billups, Chauncey Billups, former Piston, former NBAer, Hall of Famer, now current coach of the Portland Trailblazers, just coached the night before getting arrested, that he was kind of the face, the celebrity to get other folks to join poker games. And these poker games that were held across the United States, Vegas, Manhattan, LA, etc., probably more places I'm not thinking of, were rigged poker games where it's alleged that there was X-ray technology, X-ray used to see the players' cards under the table. Somebody mentioned about contact lenses, being able to see through cards. Communication, somebody's relaying information. I guess what information popped up for the X-ray to players that were in on the fix. Just screwing people out of millions of dollars. Unbelievable story. And then as the days go on, you hear that Chauncey Billups, it was known that he was in front of these poker games since 2019 at least. It wasn't just a one time. How much does he know? How much he's involved? I don't know. But it's surprising that this was allowed to stand. So he's arrested. We'll see what happens, what developments come out. And the other one is the fact. So I can't remember which. There's another guy attached to one of these cases, but let's go to the sports gambling one. Terry Rozier, basketball player currently with the Miami Heat. I'll never see the court again. And but it's alleged that during his time with the Charlotte Hornets last year, that he had faked an injury, and there was tremendous action on a player parlays for Terry Rozier to go under. Now I think so. He's been suspended. He's obviously been arrested. The NBA had an investigation and cleared him without insufficient evidence. I think that's what the statement was. So the NBA basically removed him last year when those allegations came up. Didn't see the court until this year, and the FBI arrests him. Bad look for the NBA. Terrible look for the NBA. So it's a just ugly look for Adam Silver. And I mean, they're alleging that he's providing people information. Hey, bet me under, blah, blah, blah. Some allegation that people are counting money at his house, the winnings, Terry Rozier's home. Oh my God. Again, these are allegations. What is true, what is not, we don't know. We'll find out what's going on. I'm not going to jump to conclusions just yet. Does it not look good for the NBA? It absolutely doesn't, but give it time. Maybe new information will pop out. Maybe this investigation will grow larger. And there was another guy arrested. What the hell's his name? Can't remember his name, but he's alleged that he had an association with the Los Angeles Lakers in 2023, I think it was. Wasn't really a coach, but he was an advisor or something like that. And he's letting people know that, LeBron's not playing. He's got a bad ankle injury or something like that, where you, the bettor, wouldn't know that. He wasn't listed as out, but information shared so other gamblers can get on it before it goes public. That's a no-no. And then Chauncey Billups, originally it looks like he was just caught up in the poker, but there's somebody who's described to a T as Chauncey Billups in the sports gambling one that also is alleged to provide inside information to gamblers, which is also a no-no. So that might also be on Chauncey Billups himself. Interesting question poised out there was, do you take if everything is true, if everything it goes down, that the Chauncey Billups one expands beyond the poker to providing information to sports gamblers, do you yank him out of the Hall of Fame? Because he's in the Hall of Fame. That's an interesting question. We'll see how that plays out. But just ugly situation. And you're going to have the pitchforks out blaming legal gambling. This is why. This is it. This is happening because of illegal gambling. Well, the facts are that guess what? Gambling has been going on before you ever heard of FanDuel. Did you know that? Did you see that ever happen? Have you watched the world, how it works when it comes to sports gambling? It was illegal for a long period of time, but believe me, it was going on big time. All right. So if you watched, I'll give you an example. If you watched Casino, one of my favorite scenes of Casino is when they're setting up each character, right? And the Robert De Niro character, before he took over the Tangiers in Ace, that's his character, yeah, Ace. Before he took over the Tangiers, he was a bookmaker. So he would get inside information. He would find out who is injured or who's got a coke problem, etc. And when he went in to put those stacks of hundreds on a college football game, you see the scene where as soon as Ace bets it, the line changes and everybody's running out trying to get to a payphone and make bets because of what Ace did. So this stuff has been going on forever. And it's going to be pointed out that the fear monger is going to say, oh, shut down player props. Well, you wouldn't have found this out unless the sports books couldn't record and flag. And that's exactly what happened in the Terry Rozier situation. There was an abnormality of bets. Abnormality meaning that this what is this? This doesn't look like the norm of hundreds of thousands of dollars coming on Terry Rozier's under for a certain game. They flagged this stuff. It is because of the legality that you can find this stuff and pinpoint where something doesn't look on. So I think we got to remember that because of the legal sports betting, this was found. If we were living in the dark ages of the illegal sports betting, this would have gone under the radar and it wouldn't have been as clear to the NBA that there was a problem with Terry Rozier. And, there was a comment that, will the NBA go to their partners, meaning FanDuel and DraftKings, et cetera, and say, hey, we like all the gaming and the revenue that comes along with it, but we want you to stop offering player props. And, maybe that's just for optics, right? Because, they think, hey, we're doing something about this. But I find it very hard to believe that any of these sports books that have been doing nothing but pushing same game parlays, you open up any app. Let me open up FanDuel right now. Let's go. Let me go home on FanDuel. Let's see. Log in to FanDuel. Now let's see what's presented to me right off the bat when it comes to the NFL. Okay, let's go to the front and it's talk. Oh, it are featured players. Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson. Let me select Jonathan Taylor. Oh, here comes all his stats and all the player props that involve Jonathan Taylor of the Indianapolis Colts. I can bet him over 100.5 yards rushing. And also all these. Oh, look at this. Devontae Smith, 120 winner. Hold on. Let's see. 20% touchdown profit boost. So I got to pick somebody that scores a touchdown of a player. There's also same game parlay, National Tight Ends Day. George Kittle, and it's anytime touchdown score, 50 plus yards, 6 receptions. Same game parlay promotion where I can pick Tyler Warren, anytime touchdown, and others to, in a combination of a wacky same game parlay. You'd think the cash cow of these player props that are almost like built into these same game parlays are going to go away. Go fuck yourself. If I was FanDuel, I'd be like, you figure it out. I'm doing nothing wrong. You go figure it out. We told you there's a problem. You didn't do it. You didn't do anything about it. That is your problem. We are partnering and paying you to be able to associate with you so that we can make money and you can get a piece of the action. So fuck you, NBA. We're not taking anything away. I don't see it happening. It's too much of a cash cow, the same game parlay and the player props for these betting sites. Anyway, last thing for me before we get into the NFL action. Decided game 1 of the World Series, one of the big events that happens in your community when you get to a Super Bowl, NHL Stanley Cup final. Last time in Toronto, the city was on edge because of an exciting event, was the Raptors making their run and eventually winning the NBA title right before COVID. So it was really good that we didn't win in the lockdown era. Got to experience a true championship run, which was amazing. And everybody's going batshit about the Blue Jays right now, and they should. Hey, I didn't see it coming. This team was not necessarily thought of as a contender, but they're stepping up. And they won game 1 last night, so I decide, let's go out to the local establishment, have a few beers, grab a bite to eat, and watch the game. Everything's going well. The buzz around the place is amazing. And then yeah, you get a fight breaking out in the bar, man. Like a melee where punches are thrown, tables are broken, kids are screaming, and it just ruins everything, man. Like you try to enjoy the city during these special moments, and somebody's got to ruin it, and somebody's got to have a beef with somebody. Something goes on where, hey, I'm going to take an action that ruins everybody in the restaurant's time. And, and when you get to a World Series situation, usually you have good spirits all around because everybody's aiming for the Jays. Everybody's focusing on the same thing, which is always amazing, but just destroyed the mood. I got my check, got the hell out of there. No time for that, man. We're adults here. I must go watch the game at home, which I did. So that was disappointing, even though the Blue Jays did blow the doors off the Dodgers as I left. Maybe that was the reason why. Because I left, they were down 2-0, and Varsho hits the game-tying home run as I leave. So, hey, maybe I'm the bad luck charm. But you know why you're here. What we wake up for every weekend, ready for Sunday. And that is the NFL Week 8 action. We're going to go through lines, props, and over-unders. In the card that's heavier stacked on the 1 o'clock hour, there's only 3 4 o'clock games in the feature game. And the only game really for enjoyment, I know there's betting opportunities no matter who's playing, but the Cowboys, Broncos are the main event in the 4 o'clock hour. But really, the 4 o'clock hour is a little light this week, which is disappointing. I like to have at least 4 games and 2 close matchups, and really we only got 1. So let's kick it off. The Buffalo Bills, 7.5-point favorites, coming off a big loss on Monday night to the Atlanta Falcons and heading into their bye week, so they got to be refreshed. The Bills are not in first in the AFC East. They looked unstoppable the first couple weeks. And isn't that the story of the NFL? Like, the narratives change every couple weeks. We thought the Bills were a powerhouse. Wouldn't expect that the Ravens would be where they are. A lot of injuries for them, of course. the Patriots lead the AFC East. That's unbelievable. And knocked off the Bills a couple weeks back. But the Bills are 7.5-point favorites over the Carolina Panthers. Looks like Bryce Young is going to sit this one out. I don't think that's 100% yet, but Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket, the Red Rocket, red ginger guy, is going to be under center for the Carolina Panthers. He's a credible backup quarterback, but he's kind of plain, right? He's not. I don't know what he is, to be honest. So I don't know. So I see the Bills getting back on track here. They 7.5-point favorites, though. They have not looked good. Josh Allen has not played to the level we expect Josh Allen does every single time. So I'm going to still take the Bills. 7.5. And just to give you a heads up, I'm using FanDuel. I have no association with FanDuel. It's just happened to be the book I'm with right now. I recommend that you have multiple books. I think that's not a unique recommendation, but from anybody on a podcast that's involved betting. There is value of having options. You know, somebody might have it at 7 versus 7.5, and you feel like the Bills, of course, you would take it at 7 versus 7.5 or over-unders by a pointer here. But especially player props, you'll find, rushing yards, passing yards, huge variances across each of the betting sites. So I would recommend, as a natural, if you're going to consistently bet, use multiple books so you get the best odds possible. Bills cover 7.5. Not too, I'm not too confident. Like, I'm not betting the mortgage on that one. And I like to be points in this game, 46.5. Let's say yes. Carolina's been up and down. They're a wacky team. And really interesting group here. 3-3 they are, 500. Who would have thought that? Over 46.5, like I said, and we move on. The 0-7 New York Jets and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals decided, hey, we got a quarterback problem. Let's go, because Joe Burrow being out, our backup's not cutting it. Let's make a quick, decisive decision and go get Joe Flacco on a moment's notice and throw him in Green Bay. And the result was they hung in there with Green Bay. Joe Flacco was pretty good in that matchup with limited limited playing time with Higgins and Jamar Chase, and then he comes out and they win the Thursday nighter against Pittsburgh. So that's a team that made a decisive decision, knew that the ship was going the wrong way with Jake Browning, made a call. I totally see it. They're playing without Joe Burrow. They're playing with casino house money at the moment. They can't let Jamar Chase and Higgins burn a year away without any production, because you need a quarterback. It doesn't matter how good your receivers are. If you got a shit quarterback, you're going nowhere. And speaking of shit quarterbacks, the Jets have a big problem. Aaron Glenn, the sky is falling. Head coach of the New York Jets. The sky is falling, guys. His credibility is being beaten up in New York with this 0-7. The lack of decision making when it came to Justin Fields. And that game in London, like, why, based on what we were watching, was he still in that ball game? Pulls Justin Fields last week. Tyrod Taylor is in. And then we find out that he's holding back who's going to start this week, Tyrod Taylor or Justin Fields. I think the Justin Fields experiment's over. I mean, I don't know why you're pulling punches. Just put Tyrod Taylor in there. At least give him a full week of prep with the first teamers. He gives you your best chance to not look embarrassed that could possibly happen here in Cincinnati. So the Bengals are 6.5-point favorites. I think the Cincinnati Bengals get it done, but I think they cover. I mean, the Bengals, as much as I praise them for bringing in Joe Flacco, their defense is a joke. There's not stopping anybody. If the Jets and Tyrod Taylor are going to do anything, it'd be in this game offensively. I just think that the Bengals will score 20 more points than the Jets will. So give me the Bengals to cover 6.5. Perfect teaser opportunity for you folks out there that like to put together 3 or 4 games and you get 6 points your way. And that would bring it down to a half point. I don't see the Jets coming in here winning. I like the over here, 44.5. I think it's going to be a shootout. If Cincinnati's involved, it's going to get sloppy. They're running gun on offense, and they're also shit on defense. It's a perfect mix to go over 44.5. And give me Jamar Chase, receiving yards over 85.5, minus 114. Flacco's going to find Higgins and Chase. Chase is the guy. Feed him 10 times. You're probably going to be successful, and that doesn't stop on Sunday. Over 88.5, or over 85.5, mark it in, minus 114. Move on to Chicago and Baltimore. The Ravens are a 1.5 favorite because it looks like Lamar Jackson will be back. He had a full practice this week after being out multiple weeks, but he's still questionable. Like, how healthy is he? And that scares me when I'm looking at the 1.5, with Lamar back. You would think that would at least be 3.5, 4.5. And the Bears, well, I mean, they're doing okay, right? What are they, right? The Bears are really getting the job done, knocking off New Orleans last week and the week before, knocking off the Commanders. So the Bears may be turning it around. But you know what? If Lamar's back, I like the Ravens here. I like the Ravens a lot here. 1.5. I'm trying to think. What other injuries am I missing? I'm gonna hold off betting it at the moment because I think I gotta believe I'm missing something. Like, what's going on with the Ravens? I mean, it looks like Lamar is going to play, but is it now in question? I don't know. But give me the Ravens. The Bears are not a solid play for me just yet. Now, the over-under in this matchup is 44.5. I'm going to say under. I'm going to say the under. It's going to get ugly, especially if Lamar is hindered by that hamstring. He won't be necessarily looking to get out of the pocket. And if I'm the Bears, I would probably make him, I don't know, I guess I wouldn't have it as much of a threat. And it really takes away from his game if he's just passing. So give me the under and give me the Ravens. And we move on to Foxborough. Drake May. Wow, he's the new kid on the block that is turning a lot of heads with his play. It really helps when you beat the Bills on a Sunday night or take over control of the division. Now, Drake May is the guy right now. So this is his window of time. Is he real, not real? We're going to find out. But I don't think we're going to have really much of a test here with the Browns. Yeah, they got a top-notch D, no question, but they're not really as explosive and dominating as they are when they're playing at home. The Patriots are 7-point favorites. I just don't see the Browns scoring a lot of points here. I think the Patriots do win like 24-7. Give me the under. I don't like it. 40.5, man. That under, if I see anything close to a 40, 41, it's hard for me. It's against my nature. It's against my nature not to go for the over. Just not the way I'm constructed. But this time, I'm going to fight it and go with what the logical decision is here, and that's to go under. I said 24-7, didn't I? Duh. Let's do the math again. So if I like 24-7, oh my God, my math is up. Yes, it's under 31 points. I thought it was getting me over 41. There you go. Get with it, Kyle. Come on. And they cover the 7. Again, good opportunity to tease this down to 1 point. I think the Patriots win this comfortably, but straight up, I still think they cover the 7. I'm not going to call this an upset, really. Oh, sorry. Going to also take Drake May passing yards over 225.5, minus 114. I like him to put the ball in the air. I think they're going to go, use their weapons. Hopefully Diggs is playing. I know he's a little banged up and not 100% sure he's going to play or not, but they put the ball in the air, and I think he's going to have a comfortable 240 going into tomorrow. So, moving on to the San Francisco 49ers heading to Houston to take on the Houston Texans. The Texans are a 1.5 favorite. I don't know why. There's nothing about this Texans team that really stands out to me as they really got it going. Their offense is flat. They didn't show up against Seattle. Nico Collins, wide receiver, their go-to guy, is out of this ball game. I know the 49ers are banged up, but don't you look at the 49ers as a better organization, meaning that they find a way to win. And I think they're 5-2 at the moment. And when in doubt, feed McCaffrey the ball. He's insane, running, rushing, catching, and Mac Jones is doing a great job. And Kittle didn't do much last week in his return. I got to believe that's going to change as he gets another game under his belt. I like the 49ers a lot in this game. They're plus money, plus 108. I think I will take that. I would also look at the 49ers on a teaser to put them at 7.5, plus 7.5. So I'll take the 49ers here at plus 1.5. I just don't like Houston. It's very bland. There's nothing going on there. Well, the 49ers seem to have a winning way that the Houston Texans just could dream about. The game goes over 41.5. I think it ekes over there to 42, 43 points. So take that as well. And Christian McCaffrey, sometimes you just got to ride the guys that are producing and get the touches, right? I'm not going to try to outsmart anybody here, but because that's tough for me to outsmart somebody. I got to rely on ChatGPT to look smart. But McCaffrey total yards, rushing and receiving, over 115.5. This guy's been a monster, whether it be on the ground or in the air. And I'll back the horse of Christian McCaffrey that he'll get fed the ball a lot tomorrow and make a huge 120, 130 kind of game total yards. He's the guy. He's the man. And for all you fantasy football folks out there, we're thinking, is he back? He's back, man. He's fucking back, Christian McCaffrey. He the man. Okay? So that's what I'll take. 49ers, like it. I think this line is off. Dolphins, shit. Taking on the Atlanta Falcons. And guess what, everybody? It looks like that it could be Kirk Cousins time. Something about Penix has a deep bruise, bone bruise. I don't know if it's 100% just yet, but it's looking as if we're going to see Cousins starting for the Atlanta Falcons, which is interesting. They are 7-point favorites over the Dolphins, who are just a mess. Another opportunity to tease this down to 1 point versus 7. Do you really see the Dolphins, who just shit the bed in Cleveland, coming into Atlanta, winning this game? That'd be just such an NFL thing if that happened too. Like suddenly the Dolphins are, throwing the ball around and the Falcons can't do anything. I got to believe with the weapons that the Falcons have that they get the job done here. 7 points. Give me. I'm not going to touch Miami at all. I'm not going to back that horse. Give me the 7. As far as the over under 44.5, let's get the over. It's going to get ugly. And with Kirk Cousins in there, who would you make sure you get the ball to? I'd make sure I get it to Drake London. Drake London, 62.5 yards receiving. I see him 70 to 80 yards tomorrow. So give me Drake London over the 62.5 player prop. Giants, Eagles. What do you need to know here? Well, that A.J. Brown is out with a hamstring injury. So one last weapon for the Eagles. But what's interesting is if I'm Jalen Hurts, I'm thinking, wow, I don't have a headache. I got a superstar receiver that really stood out against Minnesota last week. Man, I feel weight off my shoulders that I don't have to have this baby out there. No matter what is the situation of the game, the situation, he just wants the ball more and more, which I understand to an extent, but not to the part where it rattles the team and impacts the team and causes noise, unnecessary noise for a Super Bowl defending type team. So they're 7.5-point favorites over the Giants, who did beat them on a Thursday nighter not too long ago. I can't see that happening again. I see that the Eagles are back where they want to be, despite not having A.J. Brown. I also have to believe that, the Giants are potentially critically impacted by choking away that lead in Denver, giving up that 33-point spot in the fourth quarter. That could be debilitating, right? You think your season's... Why is my recording stopped? Hey there, I'm back. I don't know what happened. I looked up and it said stop recording, so I have no idea what has been missed, what has been said, what hasn't been said. I'm going to assume you heard my comments about what game the hell was I talking about? Giants, Eagles, and the fact that A.J. Brown is out. I'm going to take the over 43.5, which I think will be some points scored here. I do think that the Eagles will cover the 7.5. I think it's kind of a revenge spot for the Eagles after getting embarrassed on Thursday a few weeks back. Not good. That's all I got to say about that. Now we get into the 4 o'clock hour, very thin here. And we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints. Bucks are 4.5-point favorites. What do we got here? I got Baker Mayfield's been in MVP contention up to this point. However, I really thought it was a poor performance on Monday against the Lions. They had every chance to be in that ball game. The whole offense was sloppy. He was missing many throws that he normally makes. Multiple times, receivers running into each other. That's abnormal. You don't normally see that all the time, but that was happening on Monday night. And, Evans is out. I think they still move the ball without Evans and hope, maybe he can come back from the collarbone injury during playoff time. Do they turn it around this week against the Saints? I think they do. I don't think it's going to be a one-way traffic into the end zone for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I got to believe the Saints will put up somewhat of a fight. But the Saints are at that point right now where they got to be thinking next year. What do we want to see next year? They got their early, not first round, but I think second or third round draft pick. Oh my God. I'm watching Oklahoma and Ole Miss and quarterback, draw play or play action on the 2-yard line, misses a completely wide open receiver in the end zone. I got the over. I need that touchdown. Anyway, I digress. Bucks win this game. They cover the 4.5. This game stays under 46.5 in my opinion. Minus 114. Not much to say here. Tennessee, Indy. Tennessee is a 14.5-point dog. Many people are looking at Tennessee as, bottom 3 teams in the NFL. And it's hard to argue that. And then you have the Colts, who are a buzzsaw right now, walked into L.A., mowed down the Chargers with ease. I'll be the first guy to tell you, I didn't see this coming. I didn't see Daniel Jones being this impactful for the Colts. I do think, though, however, if they don't get ahead of yourself, Daniel Jones, I think there's talk about a 3-year extension, $50 million a year. I don't know. I'm still iffy on Daniel Jones. But the Colts, Shane Steichen must know something I don't, that has led to the success of the Colts so far this year. And they want to keep that gravy train going. That's fine with me. The Colts cut 14.5. Yes, the Tennessee Titans are this fucked up. I'm going to see the Colts win. Screw it. I'll go with the Colts. They tend to put the foot on the gas, and they don't stop with that 1-2 attack with Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor. So let's cover the 14.5. I'm not loving that one, but 46.5, let's say over. The Colts score points. And I think their D gives up enough that Tennessee will put some points on the board, but it's going to be a lot of one-way traffic. 30-plus points for the Colts, I got to see. Game of the 4 o'clock hour. Cowboys, 3.5-point underdogs heading into Denver. As I stated, 33 points scored. We have Cowboys coming in after a big victory over the Washington Commanders. This has all the feel of, earlier in the year when the Cowboys and Packers tied 40-40. The Packers were heavy favorites. And then they walked into Chicago and just defense was absolute garbage. I feel it. I just somehow feel this is going to happen again for Dallas. Do I feel there's going to be points in this game? Yeah. I do. I think their offense is, despite the Denver reputation, which is probably blown out of the water last week of a shutdown D, I think this game is going to go over 50.5. We're going to get some points here. But do the Broncos cover 3.5 points? Oh, let me also, when the Dallas walked into Carolina and laid an egg too and lost. Cowboys in prime time. If they're going to lose, they're going to lose by field goal. Let me just go with it. I'll take the Cowboys to cover. I'm going to regret this later, but I'll take the Cowboys to cover. And I'll take CeeDee Lamb to go over 73.5 yards receiving. He's a monster. He came back, off injury, but picked up where he left off, and he's a dominating receiver. With George Pickens out there, you can't double team him as much as you would normally without George Pickens. So give me CeeDee Lamb all day in the thin air in Denver. Sunday night are pretty good. It looks like for you traditionalists out there, the Packers visit the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers takes on his former team, I believe for the first time. I think that's the case since he's been away from the Packers. Packers are a 3-point favorite on the road, and they haven't looked like we thought based on the first 2 weeks of action for the Packers. Their offense is kind of just okay. To me, I don't understand why the Steelers are the underdog at home. So I like the Steelers here at +3. I do also like this game to go over 45.5. I think it's going to be a 24-23 kind of ball game. Sorry, 27-23 in favor of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Wrap that up. And just kind of wrap this thing up. I know we're going on long and I'm droning on about a lot of things. The Commanders are 11.5-point dogs on Monday heading into Kansas City. Without Jayden Daniels, Marcus Mariota will be QBing for the Commanders. And this game has a 47.5 over-under. I think it's going to stay under, just to be honest. I'll say the Chiefs cover, man. I'll take the large. I'll lay the points. 11.5. Washington is heading to Kansas City at the absolute wrong time for anybody going into Arrowhead at the moment. The Kansas City Chiefs are fully loaded. They look like they're back to the level of top 2-3 teams in the NFL. I got to believe that Patrick Mahomes wants to get these weapons all in sync as they lead their charge for the second half of the season. And it's going to be at the expense of the Commanders, who would have been in tough with Jayden Daniels. But without Jayden Daniels, that's your wild card. That's your hope that you could go into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs. It ain't going to happen here. Marcus Mariota is a decent backup quarterback, but he's not an elite level quarterback and will have an elite level game at this point in his career that it would take for the Commanders to knock off the Chiefs. And the Commanders' D is not fantastic, so I don't see any superhuman kind of game coming out from the Commanders' D that would put a threat to Patty Mahomes and those Chiefs. So no dice. And that is it. All right, I'm hoping that this stupid goddamn software recorded everything I said, or you're going to lose out. So I'm going to put it up because we're closing in on 1 o'clock kickoff tomorrow, less than 24 hours away. So I wish you the best. I hope you get paid out. Use multiple books like I recommend it. And enjoy those Blue Jays, Toronto fans out there. The pleasure's all been yours. The overrated experience is over and out. Bye-bye.